This episode of the Mike on Much podcast is in partnership with Jameson. Good things come in threes. Welcome to the Mike on Much podcast. I'm your host, Mike Veerman, and I'm here with my friend and trusted producer back from the road, Max Kerman.
Hi.
We are also here with our pop culture aficionado, Shane Cunningham. And joining us in Erica's place, not on the dials, but just here anyway, and I'll tell you why in a second, is my brother and all of our friends, Greg Veerman. Greg, how's it going?
Hello, podcast people out there in podcast land. Greggy V coming at you live.
A lot of energy.
Just got some chapstick, a little bit of sugar in me. Feeling good too. Good.
We got to bring it with the energy. Okay, so the reason that Greg is here is because we're recording this on Thanksgiving Monday here in Canada in Hamilton, Ontario. We're all here.
Yeah.
Greg and I, who live in Toronto, are back because our family's from here. We're born and raised in Hamilton. Max, did you come back from the road just for Thanksgiving?
Yeah, I didn't want to miss it. We had a couple days off between our DC show on Saturday, and we play in Brooklyn tomorrow. So we flew home Saturday night. I had Thanksgiving lunch yesterday at my folks' place and then at Lauren's, and now we're just hanging out today. It's been great.
And then you fly away tomorrow.
Yep. First
All
thing
right.
in the morning.
Busy boy. Shane, you also. Did you just come from a Thanksgiving dinner?
I did at my mom's, yeah.
So when was your in-laws? Was that the night before?
Night before, yeah.
Got you. It's not. We don't ever record in Hamilton anymore. This is pretty rare.
We're in my house.
We are in Max's house here. in
Yeah,
Hamilton.
You've swept the floor or something. It looks way cleaner than it used to back when we would record here.
Yeah, the house is different. You know, Greg and I used to live in this very house.
The good days.
And
Good old days.
and then Lauren Lauren just moved in here, and it's just the two of us. And she said, we need to not make this a frat house. We need to make this a real person's house.
But the floor was an entirely different shade. And you said you just swept it up, and now it looks like brand new.
No, there's some machine. By the way, I did nothing when it comes to this renovation.
Like a Bissell machine or something?
Yeah, it's like a really heavy-duty scrubber. Basically, I think it was like a coat of like dark paint or something on the wood floor, and now it's its natural color.
It's unbelievable, the difference.
It makes a big difference.
Yeah.
I mean, we painted the walls and stuff. Anyway.
And the other room's completely different.
Yeah.
There's a wall that's missing.
It's our
Yeah.
whole new kitchen.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
Kitchen.
But don't tell the authorities we didn't get a permit for it.
That's our main audience, is the authorities. They love this podcast.
But your backyard is looking like a piece of shit. It's just like a junkyard back there
That's
now.
where the wall went.
Well, they're still not done the renovation, so I'm hoping our friend Jay, my old roommate from McMaster days, who's doing the house, I hope he cleans it up.
What's the estimate in terms of time? Like, when's it supposed to be done?
It was supposed to be done like September 12th.
Oh, we're already in the red.
What is it? October 21st?
Yeah.
Today's October 14th, 21st.
I don't know what day.
He
it
just
is.
throws a dart at the wall. What's today? It's a Friday, right? We're in January? What the fuck?
But
the cliches are true about those.
yeah, but the thing is, I'm the least.
Knows, as if he's not our friend as well.
No, it's
well, he
true.
was our friend.
And by the way, Jay would probably tell you a different story. And also, we did things that we weren't planning to. Like, he put in a skylight and he fixed the floors and shit. So it's like, there's a good reason why it's gone a little bit longer.
Max, how many roommates total do you think you've had?
Oh, I love to play this game
Yeah.
a lot because, I mean, I had 6 in university. Mm-hmm. And then there was a summer where I lived with like 7 random people, like the first summer out of school. And then I lived with Dan Hamilton. I lived with you. I haven't lived with either of you two, Mike or Shane.
No.
But
Not yet.
not yet. Don't tempt me with a good time. I love roommates more than just about anything. Lauren knows that too. She breaks her heart a little bit probably, but yeah, Sean Dawson, who was maybe going to come for this podcast, Jug, Julian, Matt Savelli for a minute. I've lived with a lot of people. I love it though. It's good. Wanted Sean to. The main reason why I wanted Sean to be here, our beloved friend Sean Dawson, is that he's lived with all 4 of us, and I wanted him to give us a roommate review.
Oh, he could have
That'd
guessed around.
really
that
funny.
would be a
He'd love
great
that.
idea.
Well, maybe he'll walk in by the end.
Yeah.
Like, he was supposed to be here for 7. Like, what?
Yeah, but I think it got pushed back to 8, where he and Jug are going to come and Sean and Jug took me in when I didn't have any money, and they gave me like a little side room at a place around the corner. So they have a lot of stories about
How
me.
do we review Sean as a roommate now that he's not here? Right?
Oh, maybe.
Like, he had a big ass dog. Like, he might have even had 2 when he was with Greg.
There's only the one
Right?
dog, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But he is, well, I don't know, man. I'm pretty easy to live with, I think. Or I don't like.
You might have I mean, there's so
But
many.
I'm not like with Sean and I got along great. I know like we
You
live
know what,
together
we-
just fine because I'm like pretty easy going and so is he. Where I think he'd probably pissed like maybe you off more living with you, Shane.
Okay, we need to
piss
have
Mike
an
off probably the
episode
most.
about this. We need a roommate episode, a full hour of us telling stories about this stuff.
Yeah, we can bring on
Okay.
the tapestry of roommates.
That would be great. When
Okay.
we each guy could get his own little segment. Like we get like 8 minutes.
Are
a
we
guy.
really produce it?
gonna
We
do
should
that?
really produce it though, and like kind of do the interviews, and then have it, like really connect the stories a little bit, and then we could do like an 8-part series.
Ooh, I love it. I do think the audience would like
Most
that at all. Just like
self-indulgent.
it's like 3 guys they kind of know from the pod, and then like 12 more that they have no
If
clue. It's like,
anything-
all right, so there's peak. Like, who are all these fucking people?
I am of the mind, if anything is produced well and you set up enough backstory so people care, they will care. You can make it about any 8 roommates.
What do you think is the
If it's done right.
the conflict in the narrative arc?
Well, maybe the dog might hypothetically eat some of your stuff, and then you'll confront Sean about it and be like, "Hey, the fat."
Did that happen to you too?
It happened to everybody, and, and you would be like, "Hey, the dog ate my shoes. I just bought those." He'd be like, "Oh right, what do you want me to do? Kill the dog? I'll do it. Fine."
You know what? Sean is so easygoing, and he's such a great people person. He's Hamilton's finest realtor. Shout out to
sir.
Sean Dawson. If
Shout
you're
out.
looking to buy a house, get in touch with Sean Dawson out of Judy Marcel's Realty. But the one thing that he's sensitive about is anything to do with his dog. And I learned that the hard way too. So,
Yeah.
Anyway.
We'll get to that. I feel like this is a topic fraught with peril.
Yeah, okay, we'll get
This
into
is
it
how
on
friendships
another
end, man.
exclusive
Yeah, it's true.
episode. No, it's
Yeah.
good though. But the other thing I did today was I voted. Advanced
Early vote-
polling.
advanced
early
voting,
voting.
I voted.
Yeah, and
Probably before you even.
Yeah,
Guys,
Mike-
it's not a competition. All that matters is that you voted.
I'm just saying I normally don't vote. And now I'm in the game.
Who'd you vote for, Shane?
The liberal ban.
What do you call it, the liberal man?
Man, yeah.
Okay,
I know
yeah.
it was a guy. I don't know his name.
So my question for you guys though is, what are your thoughts on selfies in front of this polling station? Like, I voted.
I've
Get
done
the
it.
word out, it lets people know it's
I've
like,
done
I
it.
voted.
And the reason
I did it today. So
Yeah, and I think you could look at it cynically and be like, okay, who cares? Like anything, like who cares what you're eating? Why are you taking photos of that? I think that in this case, the selfie in front of the voting sign, if you are of the mind that like living in a democracy and having free will and the right to vote is a good system that we all want to sort of uphold, I think it's a good thing to promote it. So it's like I think the selfie for that is a good cause, especially if you have a lot of followers like you, Max, you know what I mean, or you're somebody that is on social media. It's like if some person who normally wouldn't vote sees that and they're like, you know what, I want to participate. I think that's worthwhile. Other people can have differing opinions. They don't want to vote. They don't like the system, whatever. But I think it's a good thing.
But voting doesn't really matter if you don't really know anything, does it? Like,
well, the
shouldn't
point
you
is to
just
be
sit-
informed, right?
Yeah, so shouldn't people be like maybe in front of like a bunch of political books, like learn about politics, then vote?
But then forgot to vote? Like
Yeah.
you did the studying?
Well,
no,
I
I know what you mean.
because
Do we
it's
want
like-
uninformed people voting?
Like I just voted what my wife told me to vote for.
Yeah, but you married your wife and you probably have the same ideals and view of this world as she does.
Maybe, I don't know.
We've never talked about it.
Yeah, we don't talk.
We're playing video games and ordering pizzas, man.
She's my best roommate I ever had.
So what are your thoughts on selfies?
No, I like it. I actually get annoyed when people get cynical about that.
Did you get any of that from
No,
our
but I was
pals?
texting manager Ash, and she said some like news reporter on TV was like criticizing people taking selfies in front of the polling. It's like out of all the things to brag about, this is probably a pretty virtuous one, right?
Yeah, what's the angle though? What's the complaint?
I don't know.
I'd like to know that.
It's just people complain for the sake of complaining. But another thing that happened to me at the polling station, I shared this on social media, so you probably saw this already if you follow our Kells, but it was really sweet. There was a guy in front of me who was dressed, he was like probably like 50, dressed up in sort of traditional Islamic attire. And he was right in front of me, so same neighborhood. And he put the ballot in the box, and then the attendant said, ladies and gentlemen, we have a first-time voter, everybody. And then the whole room applauded, and and he smiled and waved at everybody and left, and it was awesome.
What if that's embarrassing, though?
No. I mean, I think
The assumption is he's new to the country.
Yeah,
he's
new-
a Canadian citizen.
yeah, exactly.
But for me, I'd be very embarrassed because I'd be like, I know I'm almost 40. I should have done it. Sorry, guys.
I'm ashamed. I'm sorry.
He's trying to fit in. He's wearing like a Hamilton Tiger Cats t-shirt.
Yeah, the reason why you bring this up is that it happened to you, and you're just like very mad
Well,
about
I'd be
it.
mortified if that happened to me.
It would be a funny skit if that's the scenario, but then you actually contradict the person.
Yeah.
Like it's like, no, they're lying. It's like, no, I'm not, man. You told me that, and then you have to get out of the situation.
Or if the guy's been in Canada for like 35 years and he's just really lazy.
Yeah.
But I think I fucked up because
How can you fuck it up? It was so
because
simple.
I put a check mark instead of an X, and I think you have to put an X in there. But it doesn't say. They need to make it clear. Say put an X on the box.
I think it does.
They do, yeah.
Mine didn't. I swear it didn't. I looked everywhere. I was in there for the longest.
Was this
time.
your first time voting?
No, my second.
Oh, okay.
I'm not an
Veteran,
idiot.
yeah. Come on.
Oh man.
But yeah, voting is good. But let's say you you influenced a bunch of people to vote. Let's say because you're in Arkells, you're a celeb, but you influenced the wrong set of people. And then the guy you wanted to win didn't win because of it. Would you still be
But
happy
I
you did
see.
that?
I don't think that I'd be pushing people towards. Everybody follows Arkells. I don't think I'd be.
But a
pushing
lot of people misinterpret people's chant.
No, I mean, the story I shared about this new Canadian, like that kind of speaks to a certain political party.
But
and
some people
values.
think it's a pro-Trump song.
I don't think
People's champ.
I don't think so, but okay.
Anyway,
Somebody online's been spreading the rumor named Shaney Boy 69.
Shady Boy 69 on YouTube is just trolling the comments. Like, you think this is about Trump? I think it's about Trump.
is that a YouTube segue?
That's
on our
pretty
end?
good.
Yay! All right, let's get to the first subject.
Speaking of YouTube, as you guys know, if you listen to this podcast, Max sets the topics as the producer. And so in our pod group that he set up for this Thanksgiving special episode for you guys, hopefully you'll get tomorrow.
Yeah.
We're sending Erica the files tonight.
Erica, don't fuck this up.
Leave that in for the listeners. Max sent this as our topics. So today we're going to start with YouTubers. This is exactly what Max sent to us in the group. Pod topics, YouTubers. I don't know anything about YouTubers, but watched this guy the other night with Lauren. It's a YouTube link to a user named
Cody Co.
Cody Co.
K.O.
KO. And then Max goes, "Do you get it? What do you make of YouTube culture? Is it bigger than you realize? Are we dinosaurs? How will this type of production value inform the way media, news, comedy will be made in 2050? It's also cheap and gimmicky, but it seems like this is what kids like. What happens when kids today end up in charge in a few years? I'm generally confused, but maybe it's an interesting convo."
Max, are you 60 years old?
That is a crazy message. No, but honestly, like, I really feel disconnected. It's like one of the because I typically feel like a 17-year-old, like, all the time. I just realized today, like, I'm turning 33 in a month or two, and I'm like,
You still want to live with roommates?
I just don't feel any different than being 17. I still feel like I'm 17, and so
We're recording at your home and it's littered with candy.
yeah,
You
I
pulled
bought a
out
bunch of candy for everybody.
Yeah.
I had pizza tonight for dinner. It was the best. Like, honestly, incredible. And but the YouTube culture is something I feel very disconnected with. And I'll have conversations with our Kells fans occasionally, and they'll mention a YouTuber, and I won't have any clue what they're talking about. And so there's a whole world out there that, it was related to pop culture and celebrity and music and personalities, like things that I typically would pay attention to that is not on my radar whatsoever. Anyway, so I watched this thing last night because Lauren has watched a bit of it.
Is she a fan?
She kind of likes them, and then the more I watch it, I was like, at first I found it all very jarring because there's a lot of quick cuts and like kind of cheap camera moves and stuff when this guy Cody Co reviews other YouTube videos, but that is clearly the style. And I guess Lauren was telling me that she would kind of give me like a little kind of one sheet of information on how YouTube culture works, and I guess they all just comment on each other's shit. So something happens, and then that a YouTuber does, and then other YouTubers make like reaction pieces. Like, the following day.
Yeah.
Anybody who actually pays attention to YouTube is like, I sound like a fucking idiot, I'm sure.
But we probably have a lot of listeners that find this informative.
Yeah, so I don't know. I just didn't know what to make of it, and whether it's like, because I typically like when things evolve. Like, I'm not opposed to like new kinds of music. I'm not like a guy who's like stuck in the past, who's like only believes in like Neil Young made the best music in 1973 and music is shit now. Like, I'm not like that at all. But I just haven't really given much thought to how like media and entertainment has evolved when it comes to that space. So I don't know. That's where
So
I'm at.
in the end, would you say this guy's a thumbs up or a thumbs down?
I kind of liked him. He's probably close. This guy Cody Co is probably closer in age to me. Like, he's probably in his late 20s, is my guess.
The video you attached, I thought was hilarious. Like,
So you liked it? Had you heard of it?
no,
We'll put a link.
And
in,
I
by
was
the way.
very skeptical. Like, YouTuber has like a certain stigma that feels a little bit younger and juvenile, but I thought all of his comments were very funny. He was making fun of a very cringy video, which Mike knows I am obsessed with cringeworthy videos.
Yeah.
And this guy was critiquing it better than I could have.
So set up the premise for the one link that I sent around.
So the video that I guess we'll post a link for this, but the specific video Max sent, it's this Cody Co guy and another dude who I'm guessing is YouTuber.
His pal, who he tours with and stuff like that. His best friend, apparently.
So they're watching a video. I don't know if it was a short film or if it was a weird.
It was a YouTube video of like a vegan type girl, like a very spiritual Venice Beach Insta model.
Yeah, and so it was very sincere video where she's like, I met the love of my life at Whole Foods. And so it's like the sincere video that they put up. I don't really know what the origin of that video is, but let's say it's just this sincere expression of love, not a weird partnership with Whole Foods or whatever. They literally just watch it and rip it for sort of how clueless it is or lack of awareness.
It's just so pretentious. And
exactly. Yeah. And for them to sort of be unaware of how it would maybe be perceived. But ultimately, they're just kind of making fun of it in a way that's super digestible and, like Shane said, very funny.
And by the way, this YouTube video I think came out like 2 years ago or something like that. So this is
we're way behind.
We're way behind on all of this. Do you watch a lot of YouTube videos, Shane?
Well, like at work, I'll flip on most.
No, but you know the personalities, I guess. Like who's the other guy who got into trouble? I always see him.
Logan Paul.
Yeah, who the fuck is that guy?
He's
he does like it's like you know, like in the past when you knew like Jackass or something, they would like shoot themselves doing stunts or interesting things or interacting or like going into a public space and people don't expect something weird to happen. I think Logan Paul kind of embodied that space where him and his friends would either do stunts or sort of disrupt things, and then that became very popular.
And he was just very funny. Like everything he said was pretty funny. He was outrageous. He would just go into his parents' place and grab like plates and start smashing them. His big gimmick was smashing plates for like a year.
To me, in a lot of ways, though, and this is kind of like, I feel like this stuff is all cyclical. It's just being delivered in a different medium. Like, for instance, like Tom Green used to fuck with his parents, and it was like, it felt irreverent and weird and crazy. And, you know, before that, like, stand-up comedians would do weird, crazy shit that was breaking sort of like the either the convention of what stand-up was. Tom Green was doing sort of
You said
weird
Tosh.0 also did a version.
Shane mentioned Tosh.0. Yeah. Bam Margera, like who came out of Jackass, he had a show where he would fuck with his parents and he kind of had this house. And they would just do sort of like things that would either mess with a target that was either a family member or someone in society. And people just got into it. Like I remember my buddy had all the DVDs of Bam's show, and it was honestly very similar to the stuff that Logan Paul did. And then Logan Paul got in trouble later because he went to like a sacred Japanese forest where people go to sort of commit suicide, and he filmed like a dead body swinging in the forest, and then that's what got him like canceled. I'm doing like the air quotes right now, but anyway, I mean, I guess if you're asking like what is this and what are we sort of watching? Yeah, what's the distinction? Is it people like I don't think it's that new, other than the watching people watching stuff, which is just sort of a function of the times.
All right, I guess my question is that I'm maybe old-fashioned in this regard, but I just find like the fact that these people can be so popular and be like filming it with one camera, and I guess I know they're doing some like tricky editing afterward, but there's very little sort of like traditional television production. It's like, is this going to replace Jimmy Fallon? Because I kind of like, it kind of bums me out that like that style of like sort of pop culture commentary is going to be no longer. Where I guess,
but don't you want to see the best content possible?
Oh, so you're saying that this allows anybody to start
barrier of entry fucks so many people up who want to make it, but they'll never get that lucky break.
Yeah.
Now it's like you don't need to wait. Or do you have it or don't you?
Yeah.
And these are basically just stand-up routines or like improv routines.
He's saying it's YouTube has made it more of a true meritocracy.
Yeah.
Meaning if you're good, people will find you, and if you're not, they won't. As opposed to in the past, like Shane said, there's a barrier of entry. Like you'll get on Mad TV because this, and this, and this, but maybe you're not that good. Now, if there's someone actually better than you, you don't need a vehicle like The Tonight Show or Mad TV or SNL.
And I guess the big studios will find these YouTubers anyway.
Well, that's what they're doing now.
Well, if an audience finds them, that's like a built-in Nielsen rating.
Yeah.
Yep.
People don't have to be like,
accurate.
will this person make it? Because they've already made it in a sense.
Yeah. What do you make of the aesthetic of like the whole like just like talking to the camera? That's another thing that kind of like feels a bit jarring to me.
Oh, well, two things. I think it's a lot harder to that kind of cutting. Where we're talking about that guy's specific videos. That takes a really long fucking time. Like I'm sure Shaney, when you were watching it, you're going. He fucks around with his buddy probably for an hour watching this video, cutting it up, like sort of making jokes, roasting it, and then I bet you he has to go away for half a day, 12 hours, 14 hours to actually make the cuts,
all
like
the
that.
beats, all the music edits, all the sound effects, all the echoes. Like, it's crazy. All the pan and scan shit that looks very crappy.
Very entrepreneurial in that sense. Like, like these are one-man shows a lot of the time, right?
And just those are two really hard things. It's like you got to be engaging on camera. You actually have to be good. Like Shane said, it's like a sort of a stand-up routine. It's like a roast thing, right? It's like Jeff Ross at a roast. But if anything, it's a little bit more hard because you're doing it off the cuff. Obviously, they're saved a lot because they edit out all of the shitty stuff. So they probably make a bunch of jokes that don't really land. And then you have to go in there and you probably have to spend a whole day editing. Did you see any of those videos, Greg?
Yeah, I watched a little bit of it.
Like as an editor, are you like, that would have taken forever to cut?
Yeah, it's hard. And it's hard, too, because he has to choose what's the funniest jokes. I'm sure it's hard to, like, when he cuts it down, it's probably 12 minutes. It's like, it has to be 7 minutes. And he knows the stats exactly how long it will be or how long people are going to be watching for. That's also crazy about YouTube is you can see where people stop watching it. Like, it could have 10 million views, but people stop watching it after 30 seconds, So all those stats and everything there.
Yeah,
talking to the mic.
Oh, hello. Sorry.
Yeah, YouTubers are just like really good podcasters, I find. Like, we'll kind of just have this conversation and there'll be a little bit of editing, but they'll make sure, like there's this podcast called For Y'all Entertainment. It's under Much Studios. And they must spend like 8 to 10 hours editing each episode. There's so many effects. Every line is there's something to it. There's some little add-on effect or joke attached or cutaway or edit, or it's just insane. It's like exhausting just thinking about all they do.
Yeah, and I mean, for these people, these are their full-time jobs. There's like, it is an interesting thing. Like, there's a reason, like, say, Conan's podcast or our podcast or Dax's podcast, it's a different entertainment format, I think. I think like a conversational thing that, like Shane said, minimal editing, couple ums here, maybe like something that doesn't work somewhere else. What they're doing, what this guy's doing, I think is way more immersive, and it actually has to be your full-time gig because it's its own creative art form. You know what I mean? It is like writing a song or something that's not just a throwaway. This stuff is really, we'd be doing this at a bar. You can't do, I mean, what he's doing is probably started out with him and his buddies just making fun of shit on thing and making their friends laugh. And they're like, how do we do this? And then everybody sort of like watches everybody else and they all pick up each other's tricks and then they get better the same way you do it with songwriting. Mm-hmm. So if the question is like, is it a valid sort of like entertainment or like a sort of comedy platform? I think the answer is absolutely. Yeah, it is. Like it's just different.
Well, what do you think? What do you make of the new style of like these like really quick cuts when it comes to like keeping the user's attention? Because I guess that's like the nature of the game. Because you don't want anybody to click
Tim
away.
and Eric kind of popularized that style of editing and that pan and scan and.
Oh yeah.
The
That's
weird
right.
echo effects and just punching into weird things.
They find 3 jokes where there wasn't with those things, like you're saying, like a pan and scan or like a zooming in on somebody's look or a callback to a funny line. You're literally pulling jokes that are not there in the open read, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like maximizing your laughs.
Do you guys know anything about TikTok?
Nothing.
See, I have an 11-year-old niece, and they're all about TikTok, which is like basically.
I've heard it's the new thing.
Yeah, it's the new thing, and it's basically like a video app which allows you to do like weird cuts in a Tim and Eric almost kind of way. Where
it's very seamless, right? Like if you want to like take your shirt off, it makes the edit very seamless. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Like you could be standing in the same place with 3 different outfits, and it does it. But like the instincts of the app do it in a very cool Tim and Eric-y kind of internet-y kind of way.
Vine was kind of in this world for a bit. They used to do like where you could make a cut that felt seamless, and then you could mine comedy out of that.
And there's a music integration too with TikTok too,
Right.
which makes it all very seamless as well.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's another one that I feel kind of like a little removed from.
Do you guys? Did you know TikTok at all, Greg?
I don't know what TikTok is now.
It's so funny. Like every 12-year-old, like that's the way they communicate. That's the way they like express themselves. And then I think they upload them to Instagram. I think.
Here's a question. Like
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, what's interesting is every generation at some point sort of like ages out of whatever is new in sort of pop culture. Do you think like you asked a question about what's it going to look like in the year 2050? My question is like, so if you're like a 15-year-old now and like TikTok is your world, and then there'll be a new app by the time you go to college, right? And then are you as engaged in that, or is that more of like a high school thing, or does it extend into the college thing? And then are there going to be 28-year-olds in 10 years from now that are like still engaged in whatever the new technology is? Or will they just stop engaging?
Or they have their thing. They're a TikTok generation, and they just kind of like to stick to that.
That's I don't know. Like, because we're kind of like apps and stuff are relatively like the prevalence of apps are kind of new in the sense that it's like been a decade of it, right? But it's like like it's like, oh, like this, I'm not interested in finding the new technology. Now, is that a function of like what you have going on in your life, your age, where you're at, all of that stuff? And that will happen eventually to the kids that are 18 now? Or are they of a generation where it's like, of course I'm going to stay up with all the apps until I'm ancient, until I'm 60, let's say.
Well, I don't think you're going to stick up with anything that you were into when you were 12 when you're 22.
Right.
Like, it doesn't matter what it is.
Do you think 22-year-olds are using TikTok, though?
No.
Right.
Like, Gary Vee talks about TikTok all the time.
Who's that?
How he's like the new motivational guru, but he's trying to get people like older to get into it. But he's just like, oh, this is an app for what it's like 10 to 16. It's like very hot, but for no one else it is. But it's essentially just an app for people to make funny little music videos, right? Like, and you're not going to be into that when you're in your 20s.
Yeah, but what you're saying is like, because the kids are just growing up knowing how to use apps and use the technology, like they'll be able to stay up to date forever.
Yeah,
it's
and kids are used to moving faster.
Our
with the
parents
times,
are now, or they're trying to figure out how to use apps. And I'm sure there'll be something new and better when they're 40. But it just you'll always be able to stay up to date. It's not like a foreign like technology. You're always going to be able to get the hottest app and know how to use it just because you've been doing it since you're 5.
But you were also saying like older people will just stick to the one app.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah, I don't know. That's what I guess maybe apps and entertainment are kind of like how music is for some people, meaning it's like you'll always love the band that was popular when you were 20. And there's always a small group of people that still try to find hit music, and they're like, no, I'm a music fan. I'm going to keep searching new music. And most people just are like, oh, yeah, I know it. I've heard that Billie Eilish girl on the radio, but they're not actively searching for her.
Yeah. The one thing I'd add, though, that I think separates this generation versus ours versus our parents is that they are used to things changing a lot faster. It's like our parents' generation, nothing really changed at that much. Well, I guess it did, but then we had to kind of adapt with the times and, jump from desktops to laptops to smartphones. But now these kids, it's like things just move faster. Like they're used to 10,000 new songs coming out every day and a new fad that comes and goes really quickly. Whereas I think the culture moved a little slower back then. So I think they'll be used to jumping around a little bit more.
I've heard, I think it was Chuck Klosterman, I heard him on a podcast, and he was talking about the idea that for our parents, like their experience, on this earth in North America was relatively unchanged from their parents, other than maybe some fashion, a little bit of change in social sort of progression and things like that. But essentially, it's still like, there might be something on TV. You can read a book as your entertainment. Like the experience was relatively similar. Whereas our experience from our parents has actually been vastly different because the advent of like computers becoming like a major sort of tool for international sort of change and the flow of information, and then now apps and sort of technology, which again is only really sort of taken off, like the idea of an app store in like 2010 or something. Like what are we, a decade in? Maybe it was 2006, something like that. But like I still remember the iPod commercial in like whatever it was, 2004 or 3 with the silhouettes and shit like that. And that seemed like, whoa. But it's like now, like you said, everybody moves so quick. Like, what's the world going to look like to those kids? I don't know. Like, it's going to be different. I don't know. Like, I'm just saying it's like we're inhabiting two different worlds where for generations and generations, lots of parents, the world was essentially similar. It was just slight things changed.
Okay, here's a question. I know art is very subjective, so there's probably no answer to it. But, like, do you think we're going to, like, go into, like, the dark ages of... or not the dark ages, but when it comes to like film or music, will technology take it so far that it becomes like kind of worse in the eyes of like historians, where it's like I just remember listening, because when Lauren was at Laurier between 2011 to 2014, like that like really aggressive like EDM music set, I was like, this is the end of music. Like historians are going to look back on this shit because it's unlistenable. And of course, with the passage of time, I probably look on that. I think about that music a little more sympathetically. But it's like, are film historians in the year 3000 going to go, oh, things got out of hand because TikTok came around and totally fucked up the pieces of art that were being created were actually objectively a step backwards because the technology was so fucking abrasive and everybody had access to it that it wasn't good anymore?
Do you?
I don't know.
Well, no, I can't. Look, here's a question. People, they've been talking about this now for 2 decades, but like how modern attention spans are gone. We can't go. There's somebody like clocked the average time between intervals of looking at your phone, and how like we need to constantly be stimulated, and how to retain our attention now has become vastly difficult. Films still clock in at about an hour and 20. Some films are super long. Do you think that movies will be altered by the way that we consume entertainment now? Like, will asking someone to watch a film for an hour and 20 minutes become too much of an ask for like modern tastes or tastes in the future?
It already is. Like, people watch Netflix all the time, and they'll watch a movie over the course of like a night or two. Like, over the course of like 2 nights, they'll watch 20 minutes here, like a half hour there, and then, they're not sitting down and watching a full movie. I don't know. It's already
in some movies you have on in the background. It's just like one of your screens.
Yeah.
So you're watching it very casually. You're almost listening to it while you're scrolling Instagram. There's some movies I know, that's what I'm doing to this movie. This is a movie I actually give a shit about. Here's a 50%er where I'll give it a chance, but I will absolutely keep it on if it goes bad, but I'll just pay more attention to my phone. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, I'm doing that right now.
Speaking of screen time, this week, actually, we were on tour. I gave myself a little experiment. I gave myself a timer, a limit on my apps when it comes to Twitter and Instagram, 15 minutes a day. And by like 9 a.m., they logged me out.
What app is this?
It comes with the new operating system. So basically, you can you know what I'm talking about?
I don't know.
Well, you have the new iPhone?
Yeah, well, no, anybody can get the new iOS.
You can like update your system.
thing. So basically, it's like it monitors like your screen
Yeah.
time, so it shows you exactly how much you're using it. But also, you can set, depending on the app, it's like log me out immediately after 15 minutes after.
Can you log back in if you want?
You can. But the app is sort of like blurred out a little bit, so it's like it lets you know that you run out of time.
Right.
And then you can, if you click on it, it goes, are you sure you want to be back in? And then you go, yes. And then for 15 minutes or an hour, and then you can, or forget it for the rest of the day. Mm-hmm. And it's actually been a helpful thing for me. Like, it's actually, I think, decreased my time perusing Instagram and Twitter like significantly.
So what do you do when you're not doing that?
Good question. I don't know.
Because what if it turns out, like, if some research comes out and it's like better to keep your mind stimulated than it is just to sit there bored out of your mind?
Oh no! I mean, I definitely keep busy. I actually, you know what? I feel like I wrote a couple good songs this week, and I was
like productivity is up.
Productivity is up. It's like I finished the Malcolm Gladwell book that I was reading. Not to bring up Gladwell again.
Do you like him or no?
And anyway, I want you guys to try that if you want. The limit the screen time. See what happens. We should hold a little experiment here.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Would you unblur it more often than not, or would you adhere to the 15-minute rule?
You know what it was? If I had to be on like Instagram to like post something from the band or Twitter or something like that, then I'd do it. But the second I just did it instinctively, reflexively, just because I had my phone out and it said nuh-uh, and then I went, oh yeah, I don't need to do it. So it was actually really good. It was cool. It really kept me. And then the payoff was way better because when I finally did check it, the next day or when I had to go on it and I wanted to see what people were up to, the hit was that much more satisfying because there was actually a lot to see as opposed to like mindlessly scrolling and going, oh, I've seen all this shit already.
Yeah.
So it's cool.
Hey, man. It's anything we can do to sort of up our level of discipline and sort of self-control.
Yeah.
It's interesting that there's now an app for that.
Yeah, it's true.
It's an app for everything, man.
So YouTubers, guys, should we learn more? Should we continue our quest into, discovering that culture?
If you find it entertaining and it's your thing, go for it.
Yeah, I was actually kind of into Cody Co. Kind of reminded me of like you guys.
I just thought he was like the best possible version of like what I would want to be. When I was watching him, I was like, oh, this guy's way, way, way funnier than me, even in my wildest dreams. Like all of his comments.
Oh yeah, he actually had funny jokes and stuff too.
Yeah,
like, they weren't just reacting and being loud to certain things. They're like, oh, she's an idiot. Like like his celery thing. I thought was really funny when he was just making jokes about her sitting in the corner. Like he's like, she's like, you're always in the corner chewing on that little celery. Like his
celery
bits are funny.
sticks.
Yeah.
Well, and it gets so good on the back half too. That's when you cut it off. But I wasn't sure if Greg and Mike had watched it yet. So, but I was hoping you would have kept that one because I really thought that link you sent was awesome. Mm-hmm. And like I was imagining it too as a live show because when you have a captive audience, I could just imagine all those jokes like bang, bang, bang. And you say they tour, which makes sense,
like
which is why they're so sharp.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think YouTubing, like anything, I think there's a million people doing it, and the best ones will sort of it's a true meritocracy, like Shane says. Like,
the people aren't wrong. If you see a video that has over 1 million views, there's a reason for it. So, yeah, I think searching out all the greatest YouTubers will help you sharpen your craft in whatever field it may be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think it's like, I think they make it look like it's two people just fucking around in front of a camera, and I think it's a lot harder to sort of find the combination of someone who's willing to edit that shit for a full day, and then also the talent to perform that shit. I just think it's a lot harder than, we had this big talk about DJ culture, and
I stand by my DJ culture.
Yeah, you painted it with a very simplistic brush in the sense that it's like, I don't think the best YouTubers can be painted with a simplistic brush, although it looks easy.
Do you think, like, in saying that video, do you think they're just sitting there and like, all right, this is the video we're watching, and we're just gonna react, or do you think they watch ahead of time and they write out jokes, or like, because it's so like riffy and like it feels so natural. Like, I feel like they couldn't write it out, but I don't know. They're obviously quick and funny guys, so I just wonder.
I think it's kind of like how we do the pedestal. We watch the movie, we kind of write notes, we have little bits or jokes or thoughts that we think may or may not be funny, and we just throw it against the wall, and whatever works we keep, and if we go off on a weird tangent, we're just like, cut that part out.
It was actually cool when we were in LA a couple weeks ago. There's a food blogger named Josh Elkin. I highly recommend you follow him. Like, the shit that he posts looks incredible. It's like a lot of like taco related posts about various ways to cook up tacos, and he talked about the way because he does basically these like cooking tutorials. And he was talking about like how you get the crunch of the knife going through the onion and just the angles and all the lighting. And he obviously invents the recipes. He stars in these things and he edits them all himself. And he has like, I think 600,000 Instagram followers or something. Yeah. And then he gets a lot of like brand partnership deals with like Taco Bell and Samuel Adams Beer. And but him describing his process for like what looks to be like a simple like homemade video of like him selfieing, cooking in the kitchen is actually quite an extensive process. And even the final product of the food is like, that is like a highly decorated piece as well, of like a food on a piece of plate. So, yeah. Anyway, YouTubers, man, keep going. You're doing okay.
Hey, man, people don't lie. It's true meritocracy. Next topic is Elizabeth Warren.
Yeah.
We are talking about Elizabeth Warren because she is running for president of the United States of America.
Do you know who that is, Greg?
I was just going to ask, who's Elizabeth Warren?
Give him a rundown, Maxie.
Elizabeth Warren, she is a very progressive senator from Massachusetts. She's a university professor at Harvard. People like her because she, I think, is probably the smartest of the batch when it comes to the Democratic hopefuls. And she's got a lot of energy. She's like, looks like she could be your grandmother. She's like in her probably late 60s, but she's out there taking selfies with everybody and has a lot of like really good ideas and sort of has like an undeniable like get out of my way quality. She's also gone up against Trump. She had a little misstep where she talked about her indigenous ancestry, and then she took the test, and she was only like 196th indigenous, and then Trump started calling her Pocahontas. Yeah. So anyway, that's Warren, if you are unfamiliar. So go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, so she's out there on the campaign trail, working hard, up there with, I think, the other front runners, Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders, and all that stuff. Very likable person. They actually just spoofed her on SNL a week ago. They got Kate McKinnon doing her now, and it was actually a really fucking funny bit, I thought.
Yeah, Kate McKinnon's kind of perfect for that.
Yeah. So the reason Elizabeth Warren is in the news beyond just that is there's been this controversy with Facebook because people people talk a lot about Facebook's reach and the power that it truly has, because we know a lot of older people are on Facebook. We've all been on Facebook where we see like a million ads, whether it's like negative, like, Pizzagate with Hillary Clinton. She's part of a pedophile ring at this pizza shop, and it's like there'll be an article about that. You can click on it, and depending on whose feed it is on.
Is that a real ad?
Yeah, well, so basically there's like they would post ads during the election like 3 years ago.
Or promoted articles.
Articles, I'm doing air quotes, that look like they're from like a newspaper, but it would be like some online web thing that would be
the
called
Washington Examiner, which like kind of sounds like the Washington Post, but it's actually just like a bullshit right-wing tabloid. Yeah.
And so if you're someone that leans right and you're like 59 and you're kind of angry about it, you click on that and you go, can you believe this shit that they're covering this up? And it's like, well, that wasn't actually news. That was an ad. But
you can say Hillary's head of a pedophile ring in a fake ad?
This is what Pizzagate is all about. And enough people out there absolutely believe that there is a conspiracy at the top of like the sort of most elite, basically the Jeffrey Epstein thing, long before the Jeffrey Epstein thing, but like about Hillary and her cronies.
That basically there's a pedophile ring being operated out of a pizza place in D.C. and a guy brought in a gun there to like shoot up the place
After reading this.
After reading it, and it was a totally fake article.
Jeez.
So basically, this got to like a larger question, which is how much power does Facebook have? And then the question is, what responsibility does Facebook have when it comes to accepting money either from maybe surrogates for Russia who want to buy articles that are very pro-Trump? A lot of people felt like they won the war of misinformation on Facebook, the right, because they posted a million sort of fake news, ironically. So then the question was, what's Facebook's responsibility? Will they just take anybody's money? And Facebook's kind of like been like, we're not a political organization. Like, we don't take a stand. And then it's like, are we going to vet our stuff? Yeah, we're going to. Zuckerberg's been very kind of like wishy-washy on the whole thing and definitely not wanting to be held culpable for it. He's very like, well, it is what it is. So anyway, Elizabeth Warren, as part of her campaign, decided to buy an ad on Facebook. So this is what she tweeted out. She said, Facebook changed their ads policy to allow politicians to run ads with known lies, explicitly turning the platform into a disinformation for profit machine.
Because the previous week, Trump had put out like an ad that reached 5 million people that talked about some like outrageous lies about Biden and Ukraine. Mm-hmm. And
well, it's hard to top pizza pedophile.
Yeah.
Just the alliteration alone. What a headline. Like I said, so she said, explicitly turning the platform into a disinformation for profit machine. This week, we decided to see just how far it goes. We intentionally made a Facebook ad with false claims and submitted it to Facebook's ad platform to see if it'd be approved. It got approved quickly, and the ad is now running on Facebook. Take a look. So this is an ad posted by Elizabeth Warren, and it says, breaking news, Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook just endorsed Donald Trump for re-election. You're probably shocked, and you might be thinking, how could this possibly be true? Well, it's not. Sorry. But what Zuckerberg has done is given Donald Trump free rein to lie on this platform and then to pay Facebook gobs of money to push out their lies to American voters. If Trump tries to lie in a TV ad, most networks will refuse to air it. But Facebook just cashes Trump's checks. Facebook already helped elect Donald Trump once. Now they're deliberately allowing a candidate to intentionally lie to the American people. It's time to hold Mark Zuckerberg accountable. Add your name if you agree.
What a good gotcha, eh?
Well,
and the picture is like Zuckerberg and Donald Trump like shaking hands with each other. So it's really kind of thrown it back in Facebook's face to just show how irresponsible they're being.
I still think pizza pedophile is crazy.
Well, no, it is. But like, what made me interested in Warren in this case is that I feel like no one has a good comeback to Trump. Because Trump is so over the top and outrageous, and I feel like all these politicians just like don't know how to play his game, and don't know how to like snap back at him in a way that doesn't seem lame. Because I feel like whenever anybody tries to go head to head with Trump, they always look foolish. Remember when like Hillary was like at the debates and like trying to make one-liners at Trump? Yeah, it never came off great, and I that's my worry with all the Democrats who I really like. Just them on a debate stage or them on Twitter going at it with Trump, it's never going to end well. It's never going to go in their favor. And so this was, I think, the most effective thing I've seen a politician do in relation to clapping back at...
I don't feel like she came up with it, though.
No.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that they have to personally come up with that.
Yeah.
I'm saying, like,
it does help, though, if you can.
Yeah,
like,
sure. In the moment, it'd be awesome if these people had, like, Chris Rock's, like, comedic timing or
that's
something
what
like
you
that.
need. I was just going to suggest that.
And you know who has that? Trump.
Yeah.
He's really good at that. And that's why none of them want to fuck with him in that way, because it's like he's pretty quick and he doesn't give a shit.
Yeah. So I just thought like there needs to be more of this kind of thing where it's like, okay, like obviously I think there's a certain amount of like, we go high, let's ignore the crazy guy in the corner talking and let's just like talk about what we're going to do if we get elected and how we're going to help people out. But there needs to be another thing to like get people to sort of like snap out of it and realize just sort of how corrupt Trump is, but also how Facebook needs to be more
like an
responsible.
abrasive we go high person, like shut up, and then get into like some real facts.
Yeah.
And like you got to make Trump pee his pants a little bit. Like I think like Chris D'Elia or whatever his name is would be very good at that.
That would be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if these politicians could start hiring some stand-ups.
Do you guys think, like I think that this sort of stunt / ad by Elizabeth Warren is like I think it plays very well with a certain section of people.
It's too clever almost, though.
Well, this is what I was going to say. Like, who are you convincing with this? Like, the people that are going to like. I guess the question is, do you think there's enough people left to be swayed, whether or not Trump's shown all his cards. You know what he is. Nobody's confused about him anymore.
But I do think that there is a certain amount of people that still believe that like Facebook generally is offering like true information.
But that's a lot of info, and your brain has to do too much. Just say Trump's diddling minors.
No, but you don't think that. But I think like here's the thing.
It's like a 4-year-old wearing like a mining cap
Yeah,
with like the light.
Too many layers.
Yeah.
No, here's the thing. I think liberals have been complaining about Facebook being irresponsible for 4 years, but I don't think it was articulated as clearly as it was in that very example that Elizabeth Warren demonstrated. Because because all
only
Republicans
guys like you are getting off to it.
No, I know, but here's the thing. Since Trump was elected, every Republican who voted for him is just hearing, okay, shut up about Facebook. I like my Facebook. Something about the Russian bots and Facebook, whatever. You're calling me stupid. But I just think this is like a very obvious example that anybody, no matter what side of the aisle you're on, can go, oh, okay, this was... Because even Pizzagate, I think, was kind of complicated. It was like, and it was a bit niche, but this is like super, super obvious that is like Elizabeth Warren bought an ad that was clearly untrue, and she spelled it out in pretty simple terms. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm very fascinated to see. Like whenever people keep talking about like you just did it, the way to defeat Trump, the way these like Democrats got. Like, are there still people left to be inspired or swayed? Like, I feel like people know what they're gonna do or they're not. Like I just don't know what else Trump can do at this point where people will be like, ha, there's the magic anecdote.
His approval rating is crazy high amongst Republicans.
This is
like
what I'm saying.
92%.
Like it's not like, well, there's the Rosetta Stone. There's the thing that literally unlocked my ability to see what he's truly like. I think everybody knows, and either they're like, I don't care, this is the country I want to live in, I'm voting for Trump, or they're like, yeah, I'm fucking voting against that guy the first chance I get. Like, is there anyone left? Maybe there is. Maybe there's older people that are on Facebook that are still left to be sort of found, like unmined voters. It just feels crazy to me that at this point after 3 years, there's still people out there that don't understand exactly what Trump is and what he stands for.
Well, because it's pretty neck and neck, because the country's kind of like divided in the middle. I think there's two ways the Democrats win. One is like getting more turnout from their base, and that means like a very inspiring person. And I don't know who that is, but like Obama did. Obama got a lot of people to vote because he was like a lot of people who would vote liberal, but maybe are a little too lazy and don't always vote, got out for Obama. And then Obama also did a good job of not alienating like suburban, like middle class, like white moms, basically, and because he didn't turn them off in any way. And I think a lot of the Democratic hopefuls turn off people that might be able to be swayed to go in their direction because they seem to like nattering, or annoying, basically, or condescending.
So you're saying there is still meat there to
I think
be
there's
swayed.
I think there's a little bit,
Yeah.
and that is the difference in the election.
There you go.
Yeah, but yeah. Anyway, more kind of like stunty things I think could be cool if it's pulled off in the right way.
You're a fan of the execution.
I think it was great.
I thought it was clever too.
Have you guys ever thought
that's the problem with it? I find is the only people who are really going to be like, oh, that was so clever, are the people like you guys.
Yep.
It's not like you really got to do one of those blunt, funny headlines to just get them. Not being like these 3 layers, like, you see what I did there? It's like, it's only you guys patting everyone on the back.
do you ever think about being a political strategist, Shane?
No, but I think it'd be... I'm not going to lie to you. Yes, I have. We have a guy who knows nothing. Hire him.
I heard he just voted for the second time this year.
He's 35 years old.
Who did he vote for? He doesn't know.
He said the ballot was confusing.
He does what his wife wants him to do.
Yeah.
That's genius.
he had a check mark instead of an X. It might not even count.
He beat the system. No, but I do think I would be good. Yeah.
Well, I do think. I think you know what. To your point, Shane, is I think that there's so many like old guard, like Democratic, like institution, like people involved in these campaigns that are so just like traditionally about the politics and like, But the old rules don't really exist anymore when you're up against a guy like Trump. So maybe we need some outside the box thinkers.
Yeah.
Right?
Because he's an outside the box president.
Yeah,
/
that's right.
candidate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm running a maternity blog.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
But it's got an edge to it that the other
It
maternity
does.
blogs don't have.
Because Alex is like, there's a few things we can't talk about. I was like what? She's like, well, vaccinations is a big no-no. Don't talk about it. I was like, no. We're going to talk about that large. And then we just went into it, and it got like 785 comments.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was nuts.
were a lot of them negative?
Tons.
Right.
But it got it buzzing so much. We were on like all the explore pages and it was like regrammed a whole shit ton and tagged on all these mom blogs.
In a villainous way or in a cool?
Both. It's just all news is good news.
So if you were a political strategist, that would be your MO.
Well, I'd be like, let's fight fire with fire. And then someone like you or Mike type people would be like, don't you think this is clever how we're feeding it to the man?
And then you
I'd be
just
like, no, just say Zuckerberg homo ? And all the Trump guys would like that, right?
Yeah. Well, and I mean, that gets to the heart of what I was asking Max, like wondering what's left in the middle. Like, it just feels like we're all sort of talking to each other about these things. And it's just like, I don't know what works anymore. I mean, we, like Drake says, we gonna see.
He says that?
Well, he does that, I think that back-to-back song.
Oh, yeah. Pull up on me.
Mike.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We gonna see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a super fan, by the way. It's the only song I know.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Shane, I would love. That's a good SNL skit. Shane just like running the war
Headlines,
room.
the liberals.
Yeah, no. You're running the war room.
Yeah.
like for Joe Biden or Elizabeth Warren or something like that.
If you were Joe Biden's political strategist and he had to go up against Trump, what would you advise him to do in the first debate head to head?
Well, first I would say, who is Joe Biden?
It was the vice president of the United States for 8 years.
Oh.
Joe Biden.
That Trump calls him crazy Joe, old Joe or something.
Yeah.
Did you see what Trump did at a rally last week? He said he's like, in Joe Biden, he's got all these like kids behind him, like teenagers wearing like Make America Great hats, and he's like, Joe Biden, that guy, he's an idiot. The only thing he was good at when he was the vice president was kissing Obama's ass. I'm not like, that's exactly what he said. And I was like, did he just say that? Like kissing Obama's ass? Like, and this guy's the president of the United States. Like, it never fails to amaze me.
Yeah, but do you think a liberal candidate that talked like Trump, like Shane's saying, like let's say Biden got up and he said this,
Like, hey guys, I hear it's going to be a full moon tonight, and then turn around and pull his pants down.
he's got to hit Trump. What could he say about Trump that would resonate?
No. So if someone was like, what would you say to Trump right now? And then Biden goes, well, I'd tell him it's going to be a full moon tonight, and then turn around and pull his pants down. Like, that would be pretty funny.
Like he's mooning Trump.
Of course.
Yeah.
Is that too highbrow?
Too many layers.
Speak English, Doc.
Conceptually. Well, I guess what I was going to say is it's like Trump gets up and he boils it down perfectly. He goes, he takes like a somewhat truth where it's like Biden does speak glowingly about Obama all the time. And he says he spent 8 years, the only thing he was good at was kissing Obama's ass. He's a little bit of profanity. It's direct. It's tight. What could Biden say about Trump that would resonate if he was speaking colloquially or was like,
Well, I'd be like, well, I heard Melania also likes kissing ass. And then I'd pull my pants down and have lipstick on my butt.
So the insinuation that Melania is
kissing Biden's ass?
Kissing Biden's ass.
See?
And now we had to double check. Let me get this straight. That's Melania is the one kissing his butt.
It would be really amazing if there's.
Am I to believe?
Wait.
And then it just cuts to Trump's war room and he goes, this guy's good.
Hire him now.
We are finally in trouble. We are in big, big trouble.
I can see.
How did he get my wife to kiss his ass?
It would be a really crazy thing if there was like two Trumps, but one was Democrat, one was Republican.
Yeah.
Can you imagine like what those things would look like if everybody acted like Trump would? Like it only kind of works because everyone is just so shocked whenever Trump does anything that it's just like, okay, well he's clearly the crazy one. But if there was two, if that happened,
Like if they were twins.
like if it was like
Yeah.
a debate stage and like Biden just kind of like mimicked whatever Trump did, that would be insane. The world would be like, what the fuck is going on? Like the rest of the world would be watching these debates and Biden's pulling down his pants.
With lipstick kiss marks on his butt.
Oh man.